Okay. Are you ready? We're getting ready to hit record, everybody.
Let's go.
You have notes. I do not.
I have a list.
Okay. Okay. Here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Rambling Through Everyday Life. Angela, you have just come back from a fantastic trip. Like, literally, just came back.
Hours ago. If you're watching on the YouTube, I feel like I need to tell you I'm so sorry. This hair still has the St. Lucia frizz.
Well, you don't look like it has St. Lucia frizz.
Thank you.
It's so fun. Okay, we're going to talk about the trip.
Yeah.
This is a good old-fashioned rambling.
It is a good old-fashioned rambling. We have no idea exactly what we're going to say to y'all. We kind of do, but...
You got an outline for us. We're good to go.
We're fine. You and I have these ongoing conversations daily through Voxer. We've told people that over and over again. That's how this podcast came about.
If you do not have Voxer, download it.
Yes.
And Voxer just allows you to communicate back and forth. You can listen when you can listen, and you respond when you can respond. And it's a voice. It's like a voice recording.
It's the glue of our friendship. When you're busy, and I hate talking on the phone. That may sound terrible, but we don't have time like we wish we did, but you can listen when you can, respond when you can. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Voxer, the way to go.
Yes, but because I was gone for so long and you had a busy week, there's a lot that you and I have not caught up on. So this is just like everybody gather around. We're going to just throw it all out there.
Grab your cup of coffee. Here we go.
Yes.
Okay, what are we going to talk about first? The trip, yes.
Yes. So I have heard you talk for years about going overseas, doing mission work, and falling in love with these people and their stories. And I thought I understood what you meant. And on some level, maybe I did.
Sure.
But I have never been out of the country other than a very short, uneventful trip to the Bahamas and a trip to Canada once or twice. I've never been anywhere like we just came back from. And my eyes are open. My mind is blown. I'm homesick for people that I've only known for a week.
Right.
And it's the craziest thing.
Okay, so tell us, when were your eyes opened? How were they opened? What was it you were seeing for the first time?
Okay, so
voice back up. Why did you go to St. Lucia?
Why did we go to St. Lucia?
And where is St. Lucia?
Well, it is in the Caribbean. We were closer to South America than Cuba. I had to keep looking at a map. I kept going, where are we again? Exactly. I'm terrible at geography. But my husband and I celebrated 25 years of marriage. We went to Alaska back in September when I had first priced trip ideas. Let me back way up and say our honeymoon was the worst honeymoon of all time. If there was a contest, we would win it for let's redeem your honeymoon with a better trip. It made for a great story and still does. We still laugh about it, but we always said one day we would go somewhere fun and make up for it. So that's what this year has been for us. And I priced a resort, all-inclusive resort in St. Lucia. That's what everybody pointed us to. The sticker shock, oh my gosh, it's
$1 bazillion.
It was like $12,000 for what we wanted. We wanted a view of the Petone Mountains, the ocean. My husband loves a view. He sunburns. He doesn't want to get out in the sun. He wants a porch with a view. We found an Airbnb that was unbelievable, and it was so inexpensive compared to the resorts. I thought, what is the catch? Have I made a mistake? Is this okay? Y'all, we got there and our jaws dropped. It was like a tree house. It was absolutely beautiful.
And it had a kitchen and bedrooms and bathrooms and den, the whole 9 yards.
No walls.
Yeah, that's so fun.
A few walls, but we walked in and I was like, how does this work exactly? Like, what if it rains? Well, it rained off and on throughout the day, every day, and that leads to beautiful rainbows. It wasn't hot. It wasn't cold, but it wasn't hot. It never got muggy. I never used bug spray the first time. We had mosquito nets on the beds, but no mosquitoes. But it was just like being, I don't know.
Yeah, in a tree house.
Living in a tree house in the rainforest. Yeah. And it was lush and beautiful. There were birds that sang all day, every day. Then when it got night, the birds would stop and the frogs would start. And they would just lull you to sleep with this rhythmic cadence. It was unbelievable. And the stars would come out and cruise ships would come in and out because most resorts are on the north side of the island. But they take excursions to the south side where we were, near Soufrière is the town. And they come down there usually just for a few hours. But that's where the beautiful, just undeveloped part of the island is.
Right.
And
it's not so touristy.
Yes.
Right.
And the only time we really got frustrated, if you would even call it that, we went to the resorts a few times for a meal or to snorkel or whatever. And we were so irritated with other Americans. We missed being back with the St. Lucian people whenever we were not. Does that even make sense?
Oh, for sure. So was it the people, like right off the bat, when you said your eyes were open, was it the people? Was it what you saw before you got to the resort or to the house?
Do I have a story? So if you know me well at all, you'll know what pulling an Angela means. There's always, no matter what, there's always some way that I have pulled an Angela in some kind of capacity. So my one job is to make sure we're packed, to make sure we have what we need. That's just my responsibility. I wouldn't have it any other way. Cole had a ball game Friday night at 8 o'clock. I had to work until 5. I didn't pack because I'm just not doing things the right way. So we get home, we pack quickly. I have a little pouch with $3,000 in it. So
a precious little pouch.
I'm thinking to myself, I should put this in my wallet. I should do, and it just never, it was chaotic. We were running out the door. We get him to his game. We get back. We go to Memphis to spend the night because our flight left at 6 a.m. So I remember thinking I should get organized. I should get this cash out, put it in my wallet. None of those things ever happened. We get to St. Lucia and we land and we get through customs. And we have a driver. The house owner said, you'll have a driver there waiting for you. He'll be your driver all week. So we get to the driver, and this other gentleman has helped us with our luggage. So I'm trying to give him a tip, and I'm trying to find the money in my bag, and it is nowhere to be found.
Excuse me while I die.
You want to talk about some panic. My husband looked at me, and I looked at him. I'm sitting on the sidewalk in St. Lucia with my backpack dumped out. Everything is strewn across the whole entire sidewalk, and people are just walking around giving me space because it's like, here's my sunglasses, here's my Advil, here's literally everything I have brought with me everywhere. And our driver, who has become a friend, and we told him he's family. We just love these people. But this was my first experience with this man. His name is Jamel, and he looked at me and he said, relax, you're on island time. And I wanted to scream at him and say, do you not really speak English? Do you understand I have no money? Because we were looking at him and this little, this man standing there patiently. And Jamel says, don't worry about it. I'll take care of him for you.
Aww.
And Carl after Carl got over the shock of, what do you mean you don't have our money?
Right.
Because everybody had told us, the owner, the manager, the people, Airbnb was great. And they had us so prepared for everything. But they said, bring cash, bring 50s and 100s. You can use American currency, but it's hard to get access to money. It's hard to make change. And it turns out it's not that difficult because we had to. But my immediate first impression with Jamel was him looking me square in the face, panicked. I was sweating. I was just falling apart. And he said, relax. You're on island time. Yeah. Everything is fine. Yeah. No worries.
Yeah.
And boy, did he mean it.
Yeah.
So that's where it all started.
So there's a trip from the airport to the house. What did you see stuff?
Oh my goodness.
Because I had told you ahead of time.
Yes.
Like I've been to places too where, and to get to where you are, it's a different look than where you land.
So Jamel, he is a cab driver, and he immediately is just, I always felt safe with him. I did not feel safe with other people who were coming at us. I will say that. They drive on the other side of the road. Their roads are very bumpy. When you get into the town, there's a gutter, I guess you call it. It's just the concrete drops off maybe like 8 inches for the water to drain between the sidewalk and the street. Is that normal? And okay.
Because they don't have sewage systems and
no, so
underground pipes,
right?
Like what we have.
No plumbing.
No ground plumbing.
No ground plumbing. So it was just very, I was still hyped up on, oh my goodness, I'm here with no money, what is happening? And my husband was steadily saying, it's fine. Yeah. We have a debit card. We will find the bank. Do not. But I was just rattled, and he was so tender and kind, and he got us to the house. It was about 45 minutes. We walked in the house. I mean, descending these stairs and then walking into this house, it was just, I've never seen anything like it in my life. I posted a lot on my personal page. I'll have to put a few pictures and stories, because if you have ever dreamed of going to St. Lucia or anywhere in the Caribbean, oh my goodness, the people are amazing. This place we found is amazing. The manager was so, he realized quickly that I'm a connector and a big mouth when I believe in people. And he said, look, here's my cell number. Just give it to anybody that wants to come.
That's awesome.
We've already got 3 friends who have booked trips.
That's
because
awesome.
What made it so precious, in addition to just being gorgeous, I mean, you are literally sitting on this porch with the water and the mountains right there. We kept saying we could just sit right here all week, and some days we literally just sat in one spot. We got there Saturday, so Sunday we watched online church on the porch and had it blaring through the speakers and just had a ball. But the people, so Alvin was the house groundskeeper. He was incredible. He was like our own private concierge. Between him and Jamel, it was like, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Because some in these countries, people will approach you,
right?
You know, and they'll throw, you know, bracelets on your hands and throw, and you just really want to help everybody, but you have to be careful. So they were very protective and good. Not that it was scary, but just good guides for us. And then Verlinda is the housekeeper, and she cooked for us. And it was so, like, we felt like we were imposing on her. But she went and picked up our groceries. She would cook food in the kitchen. It was just amazing. And just getting to know them, having these little birds just flying all through the house. I don't even like cats. They have a house cat named Lilo. He won me over. That little dude was just, he was so
what
fun.
about the culture? What did you learn about the culture that's so different from here?
Yes. Okay, so they primarily speak English. They have Creole mixed in. We asked about church. Fran, you were so fantastic in guiding me through these conversations, because I didn't know really where to begin with it, and you were so good at saying, you know, ask about their religion and ask about the government, ask about all the things. So I found out several things. They have lots of Catholic, some Jehovah's Witness, and then they have a denomination, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's basically Pentecostal based. They have a lot of, I had him drive me by the courthouse.
Yeah,
I wanted to see the courthouse, and it was very eye-opening. He said there are a lot of single mamas because they get pregnant young, and then the men just kind of flake out on them. They're not interested in commitment. They just wanted to have some fun with these women. So they have these kids. And then the government child support rate is like $200 or $250, I think, per month in their currency, which is not much. We went to the grocery store and spent so much money on just a few things. I don't know how they live. But anyway, he said a lot of the dads will just make a deal with the mom where, hey, I'll just buy groceries, just keep me off child support. And they get more money that way. But there's a lot of need with these mamas. It made us want to go to the school and just hand out diapers or gift cards or whatever, money, whatever. And you know, now we went under the pretense of, you know, this is a fun vacation, and it was. But when you meet the people, you see the people. We were in their village, eating at their diners. There's no fast food.
There is no fast food.
They had one KFC near the airport. And
believe it or not, right in the middle of Kenya, there will be a KFC.
That is crazy.
And I don't know why. I don't understand that.
Yeah. And we felt so good all week, even though we were eating these, you know, foods that, you know, our culture will say, like, don't eat too many potatoes or rice or whatever. They cook so clean and healthy, and so many fruits and vegetables.
And a lot of times it's literally farm to table.
It is.
They don't have this processing part of their food that we have.
It's horrible.
It's like I said, you know, which it's a plus and a minus, but there is no FDA. There is no real intense food regulation. So it's coming out of the ground to your plate.
Oh my goodness.
And that's why you see some of the same type, like if there's always chicken, there's always beans, there's always rice, there's lettuce, like things that are just going to grow up out of the ground.
And it was interesting because they had I think body is what it was called. It was like a burrito, but it had potatoes and chicken, and it was very they also had curry chicken, so there was some Indian influence. But then it was almost a little bit like the Mexican food that we have here with rice and beans. I've not talked this much in a while. Hold on.
Y'all listen too. This is, if it feels like we're talking 1,000 miles an hour, it's because we're on a time deadline, and because I've got to be somewhere. So this is fast talking too. It's not just talking; it's fast talking.
There's a lot to say. So the first morning, our friends Blake and Allison came with us. They were celebrating 15 years of marriage. We were celebrating 25, all in one year. We had this rental. We had an extra bedroom. It just made sense. So they came the second day, and Jermel took us to their local farmer's market.
Yeah.
And this man was wielding this big knife, machete, maybe. I don't know. He was slinging that thing around. Keep in mind, I'm not allowed to use knives because I always cut myself. That's the joke in my house. Like, keep me away from the knives so I don't lose a finger. This man was cutting these coconuts so fast. And then he just stuck a straw in it, and we drank the coconut water, and then he like cut off the edge of it and created a scoop to scoop out the jelly. And that started this joke among us. Jermel said, "You do this every day, it's a good cleanse." And then he took us to there was some aloe juice, and you drink this every day, it's a cleanse. And we were like, hang on, we can't cleanse everything out all the time.
As much as I want to.
But that's what, they all look so young.
Right.
I could not tell how
They're
old
healthier.
anybody was.
They probably are healthier than we are.
They've got to be.
They physically work hard. They eat better.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
Bless us all.
So the other fun thing we did, Jermel took us to the botanical garden, and it was gorgeous, lush and beautiful. But he had his friend that worked there take his knife and cut a big cocoa pod. I don't know what it is. It kind of looked like a coconut. He cut it out of the tree, and we were able to. It was kind of like jelly inside the cocoa, and you just sucked it off the cocoa bean. But he said, don't eat the bean, it's real bitter. Have you had those before?
Something very similar, yes.
It was amazing.
Anything, like anytime we were in Kenya, anything off of a tree or a plant, you can eat it right then and there.
Yes.
But then if you that's totally fine to do, but if you were to see a stand on the side of the road, you would have, like, your guide, your people that you were with would have to be okay with whatever it is you were eating. So in Kenya, where we stay, the farm beside us, you're getting bananas, there's mangoes, there's everything that you just eat it. You pick it, you eat it. And you're like, this is crazy. We don't do that. We don't have that here.
Yeah. We had some little bananas that grew. We had some mangoes. We had cantaloupe. And there was something else. Now I can't think of what it was. It wasn't a cantaloupe and it wasn't a mango. What's something else that's orange? I don't know. It was so good. Their milk comes in boxes on the shelf, kind of like the almond milk that I'll get sometimes on the shelf. No milk anywhere in the refrigerator. It was fun to go in their grocery store.
Yeah.
It was called Massey. And we asked him what's just like a treat that they enjoy. Because his Jamel's girlfriend Anisha was absolutely precious, and she cooked for us a couple of nights. Fantastic cook. She's a believer, so it was so fun. She got so excited when we told her. We said, we're believers in Jesus, and just had the sweetest bond.
And when there's different religions involved, in Kenya, most everyone is Muslim, and so you don't know what they believe, and even if she wasn't a believer, it's just, what great conversation to have. It's just to learn about different cultures, not just the people, but where they live. What does that look like? Where do they work? What is transportation like? What is the government like? What is food like? What is their grocery stores like? Like, it just seems so basic, but when you're in that place, it's just so much to take in, because it looks different, it smells different, everything is different.
Everything is different, but at the same time, it was so sweet to feel so close and like the world was so small. The
and
more
then
we
you
got
realize
to know them.
how small you are.
Yes.
In this planet, in the world, because you're just a tiny little piece of what the Lord is doing globally.
And I kept looking at all these people that were so different from me and thinking, we are all created in His image. What a big God.
Absolutely.
That I just lose sight of. We were able to, I had so many times that I was sending Fran boxers because I had all these Fran moments. But we got to meet this lady, excuse me, she was probably in her 70s. Again, it's very hard to tell. But she owned this resort called the Hummingbird. And it's been closed down since COVID. You know, COVID hit them really hard. We talked about that. But when you walked in, she was very elegant. She was very well spoken. I just loved this woman. But when you walked in, there were these huge framed photographs of her meeting Queen Elizabeth.
I love it so much.
It was fascinating.
How did she get to meet her? I'm so jealous.
Well, it's a British owned territory, and the Queen came. You know, she had owned this place 40 years, and at some point the Queen came for tourism. Listen,
if you've watched The Crown, then there are moments where they show when. That's why I think I sent you early on. They could be apart. They could I don't even know how to describe it. I was like, it's kind of like how when I described that beef,
moldy beef.
The moldy beef. I was like, I don't have the right words, but I was like, I think they're somehow connected. They're tied to British government.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in The Crown, it would show them going to all the places.
Oh, wow.
Because they're under their government.
Yeah.
They're under their ruling. And so there was just a way to keep relationship and connection. So I was like, I think they could be part of Great Britain, but what do I know? But apparently they are.
They are. Who knew? Who knew?
I felt so smart.
Well, throughout the week, as we got to know Jamel, I mean, and Anisha both, we started asking about their children, and they have 3 beautiful children together, and she does hair, and the town is so compact that when he would take us between wherever we were going and back to our treehouse, you'd have to go through the town. And it was just tiny. So we were just going down a street and he'd stop and say, hey, there's my mama. And your windows are down and his mom is 2 feet from us. Or he'd say, hey, there's Anisha. And you're like on the sidewalk outside their apartment and you can like reach out and touch them. And it's just so fun. Everybody knows everybody.
It's almost like, you know, because we live in such a rural, like there's so many laws.
Yeah.
Like I told you, I bet there's not very many traffic laws. And the police has a very different role than what we know as, what police would be doing. Like, they're not worried about stuff like that.
No.
Where we would be like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You cannot pull over and talk to her right now. You're gonna cause a wreck or a traffic jam, and they don't care.
The best part, y'all, one of the things I noticed immediately is you're driving through or just down the road, and then you hear the horn go beep 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 beep, and that is their sign to each other of, hey, I'm coming, because the roads are so narrow.
It's
you
not
have to
out
yield.
of aggression.
No, it's the happiest honking ever. And we were trying to explain to him how angry a horn sounds in America, but you're just steadily beep beep beep, and it may be, hey, that's my cousin. Hey, I need you to move over. Hey, look out, I'm coming down this windy road, and I need you to wait so we don't hit head on. And it's
an adventure.
Fascinating. It's an adventure.
It's just so much fun. There's nothing like it. Whether it's, and let's just reel this back in. If people cannot go to St. Lucia, just wherever it is you're going, get to know the people there. Wherever you are.
Dig deeper.
Yeah, go below the surface and learn about their town.
And there is not one thing wrong. If you want to go stay at a well-known resort and never leave property, there's no judgment here.
Right.
But I'm just telling you, we had the experience of a lifetime. We cannot wait to go back, partly selfishly because it was gorgeous and we were so relaxed and loved it so much. But we cannot wait to go, now that we have seen these people, fallen in love with these people, and there's so much need.
Yeah,
we're ready to go back and do something to come alongside them.
Well, their economy is boosted by tourism, without a doubt, and they need those resorts. But for you not staying in the resort, you were able to truly experience the local culture, the local people. And because of that, you saw there is tremendous poverty there.
Yeah.
And
yet they're so happy and so
100%,
grateful. No matter what you gave them for a tip or for a wage, they were so happy, so grateful, welcoming.
Simple.
We had some of those little applesauce, the go-go squeeze, and we sent some for their children. They thought that was the greatest thing in the whole wide world. And I said, what is something that you would fix just on a special occasion? Like, what's a treat for them? And he said lasagna.
Yeah.
I mean, just things that we absolutely take for granted.
There's something to be said. I mean, there's great difficulty when there's poverty, there's great difficulty because society breaks down educationally,
100%.
within your religion, within the family unit, everything kind of starts to fall apart. But there is a lot of positive.
So much.
And the beauty of it is there's just a simpler way of life, and they're not wrapped up in the obnoxious things that we get sucked into. Yeah, they've got access to, they're very always, it doesn't matter where I've been, everybody is fully aware of what's happening in the United States, whether it's politically, whatever, is on, Entertainment Tonight or TMZ, they're always aware. And so I just think, God, I'm so sorry, because this is just gross.
Well, we almost immediately, it was like, hi, nice to meet you. Come visit us in Tennessee.
Yeah.
They love country music.
Oh, that's so
They
funny.
were so fascinated by, they talked about George Jones and Kenny Rogers.
That's so funny.
And he kept saying the gambler. We're like, the gambler, Kenny
That's so
Rogers.
funny.
I know. It's
Well.
not, anyway.
Okay, so y'all are going to go back, and it might be a different type of trip when you go back.
Hey, we left a big piece of our heart there and did not expect that to happen.
Are their kids school age, or are they too young?
They're in school, and he drove us past the schools, and they have a lot of football, which is, soccer football, which was fun because Blake Butler's football coach. So we had these fantasy jobs of like, okay, if we move here, I can help the child support needs, and Blake can go coach the football team.
I would totally move down there and do all this.
Like Ted Lasso,
Yeah.
that can be him, and they need dental care. Allison can help with
Yes.
that. They need weddings. And we had this whole scheme planned out. But the kids have this hour-long, I think, they go outside for lunch, and they play. And they just good old-fashioned recess. And every time we drove by, it was so happy and so joyful. I could have sat there and watched those kids on that playground for hours. They were so sweet.
Every time, part of our work in Kenya was through schools, and I couldn't begin to count the number of schools we would go in and out of, but that sound of when you arrive, like when we would arrive at the school, just the greeting and the song and the celebration of you being there. But if you weren't there and you're just driving by, the sound, the celebration, just the joy is so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. There's such happiness.
He has 2 daughters that would be the perfect age for a whimsy doll. So I've already got this all figured out in my mind. But
Oh, for sure. We'll go
so
back.
great. And then, so I was on the plane coming back, and I had not listened to podcast in a while. And the internet was kind of messing up at first. They had to reset the router on the plane, which really felt like a gross first world problem.
For sure.
After where I'd been. But just the way it worked out, I only had a few podcasts that somehow had downloaded. One of them was Jenny Allen's Made for This. And I want to link to this because if you have any kind of struggle with, I can't hear the Lord, I don't know how to hear from the Lord, I'm stressed out, something's bothering me. This guy was a guest on her show, and they did a 3-part series, and I've already downloaded his book. It's called Living Fearless by Jamie Winship. Have you heard of him? I had never heard of him. And interestingly enough, he has gone into these war-torn countries during war. And you talk about growing your faith. It came down to these 2 questions. He said we need to ask ourselves, first of all, he said very rarely, if ever, in Scripture does the Lord answer the question, why?
Yeah.
When we ask, why is this happening?
Right.
Why is this?
Right.
And he said what God does do is wants you to talk to him about whatever's troubling you and ask these 2 questions. What do you want me to know? And then what do you want me to do as a result of that insight? And he said when we ask that, it's about whatever's troubling us. If I'm upset about something and it's making me afraid, that fear is separating me from God.
Yeah.
So I need to start, we're trying to be still and just give our brains that space. And he said it's so important and so precious to just be still and sit before the Lord and say, what do you want me to know? And what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And he tells his stories of it will blow your mind of how those 2 questions in the context of going to international jail for things he was in trouble with. And God, what do you want me to know about this? Moving his family to Baghdad in the middle of a war and conversations and with his teenage son and how that took place. And they just got really still and said, God, what do you want me to know through this?
Well, it ties beautifully to, the episode we did of confidence and courage, that our lives are meant for so much more.
Yes.
They are, and everybody's next step, whatever it is the Lord is asking you to do. There's not a one is better than the other, or this is right and this is wrong. Only you know what it is the Lord is asking you to step out and do. But what a great episode, what great series to listen to just encourage you and build up your faith that I can go do harder things. And what great questions to ask yourself as you are navigating those next steps.
Yeah, because we know, without doubt, we know we can trust him to always be with us.
Yeah.
Over and over and over, he says, I will be with you.
Right.
Yes, you're afraid, but I am with you.
Right.
And just engaging with him.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. Okay, we're going to wrap it up, but we're going to talk about one more thing. We've got a couple of minutes. So what else do you want to say as we wrap it up?
Fran, we are entering your crazy, stressful month we call February.
At work, February is an intense month. No need to explain it, but y'all all understand. Everybody has intense seasons. So I said to Angela, I was like, I don't know. What do we do when we're stressed? What do I do when I'm stressed? Because when you're in that moment, even if it's just for a day, it doesn't have to be like a season, but when you wake up and you immediately you wake up and you feel that anxiety inside of you that just, you can just be like, okay, within a second, this could become full-blown panic and just feel like I'm dying and drowning. And so I just was like, what do we do when we're stressed? Do I run to the Lord when I'm stressed? No, I tend to try to figure out how to cope with it, and my coping is not going to naturally be, okay, dear Lord, I need you. That will eventually happen, but immediately it's like, okay, oh my God, no. And it's just this state of, drink more coffee. Like that's the worst thing to do, but give me some more coffee, and I need junk food. And, it's just this crazy feeling. And I want to move into this season, this month of not feeling like, oh my God, the world is on fire. Help, Jesus, crazy.
These 2 questions are a good reset.
Yeah.
With our stress.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, we need to turn to scripture, but I think it's just being aware when you feel stressed, what is my response to that stress? Because I can become really short and snippy and trying to control the situation instead of, all right, Lord, I trust you. This is all going to be okay. You've given me skills. You've given me wisdom, experience, and knowledge. Give me the discernment. Grow me up in this season. We know that. It's just in the moment when internally you feel like, I am dying. All of that rational, lovely thought and words just go out the window.
Well, you have been a good influence on me about what's your temperature threshold for taking a walk, 40 degrees?
Yeah, the literal temperature is 40 degrees.
If it is over 40 degrees and there is any way to plan ahead and build that into your day, go take a walk, fresh air.
That really does somewhere. I'm sure scientifically this is proven somewhere, but it does clear there are health benefits, but not from just like your heart and your body, but your mind. It clears your mind. So one night last week, bundled up, put my hat on, and I didn't listen to anything. It was just to clear my mind. Now, granted, that was the end of the day. I wish I could have done it sooner, but we've got to figure this out because stress is real.
Yeah. Well, if you're listening and any of this resonates, we are with you.
Yes, we are with you.
And the Lord goes with us.
Yes, he does. Praise God for God. We say it all the time.
I'm wearing my Isaiah 41:10 sweatshirt. Fear not.
I thought when I first saw it, like literally, I wouldn't have said this because we were talking, but I looked at that and I thought, does that say fear net? A fear net?
I had a mosquito net.
What's a fear net?
Keep me away from the bugs.
Okay, everybody, we love you guys. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Rambling Through Everyday Life. We'll see you next time. Y'all have a super duper day. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.